Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alan Smason, and welcome to NOLA Theater Talk. This is part of what outreach I started up a few months ago, and hopefully those of you who are in our NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group know all about it and know that we bring you broadcasts on Mondays and Fridays, sometimes stage readings, which we've been very fortunate to do the last several weeks. And we also broadcast to the theatercriticism.com Facebook page, not the theatercriticism.com site itself, because it's basically a support page from Facebook. And we also broadcast to our YouTube channel, my own Music Lovers 169 channel. Tonight, we are going to have a town hall. This is the very first time that I've done this. As many of you know, this is intended to be an opportunity for people to participate. Normally, I invite a guest or two to come on and to basically talk about what's happening in the New Orleans theater scene, or to talk about something they're doing coming up. The idea being that this is a forum, this is a platform for them to air any of their ideas, or perhaps to promote something in the future. The idea also being that we are connected a little bit better when we know what's happening with everyone and can see and listen, etc., to one another. So my hope is that we'll have a number of people who are going to use their link tonight to use the link that we have to get into the broadcast. So it's open to one and all to go. Now, those of you who don't know basically how this works, essentially, what you have to do is you have to have a browser, you have to have a computer, or you can have a smartphone. And essentially what you do is you take that smartphone and you use Chrome preferred, or if you're on an iPhone, you have to use Safari, or on an iPad, the same thing, Safari. But for the most part, people who are using desktops, or perhaps utilizing a different kind of tablet, like an Android of some sort, Samsung, whatever, they can utilize Chrome. That's the preferred browser. I'm going to give you the link right now to get into the studio, and this link will be live for the foreseeable future for tonight. If you want to come in, participate in the broadcast, no holds barred. We are going to have a couple of caveats. We're not going to allow any libelous or slanderous statements to be made. Please be respectful of everyone. And we'd also respectfully ask that no politics or religion be brought into the fore. This is about theater. But if you have an event, or if you have something to say about what's going on in the theater community, I'd very much like to talk to you about that. We prefer, as I said, Chrome, but you can utilize anything that you want to talk to me. You might find that earbuds work very well for your purposes. If you try to listen to this over Facebook or YouTube at the same time as you're coming into the channel, you will be very disappointed, because you're going to hear nothing but feedback, and you won't be able to understand what I'm saying, or you won't be able to hear yourself think. So again, the pitfalls of this particular platform, StreamYard is what it's called, are that you have to be kind of mindful of the fact that the sound should be played through earbuds or possibly headphones of some sort, so as to concentrate the sound and not allow it to feedback. And it will do that if you're not careful. Now, I did notice that there was somebody here, but I don't know whether or not they've been able to get in. I think that they have not enabled their camera or their microphone. So let me tell you, once you do use this link to come in, StreamYard.com, WR4JNS27D9, once you type that into your browser, again, Chrome is preferred, you will then be told that you are backstage. And you need to enable your camera and your microphone. And then you need to enter the backstage area into the studio. It's a sort of a two-step process. I will see you then, and I can then bring you into the stream, hence the name StreamYard. So, but I guess the reason I tried to do this tonight was, being that this is the anniversary of Hurricane Katrina from 15 years ago, I really kind of thought that maybe it would be an opportunity for us to share some memories. Over the course of the last 2 months, we have been very blessed to have had two plays by John Bigonnet. First off, of course, Rising Water, And the second piece, of course, that we had, which was Shotgun last month, and it's going to be topped off this coming Monday by the final third part of that trilogy, Mold. And once we do that on Monday night, it will also be relegated to history, and it will not again be available for you to see. These readings that we're doing are really more than just readings. They are really reimaginings of this work for a virtual experience, directed by Greg Johnson. And of course, Greg, if you're out there, I'd love to have you come on tonight and talk a little bit about what your process is with this. Of course, John Bigonnet has been a guest on our show previously, and we did have a wonderful opportunity to talk with him about these plays. It was my idea that we utilize this particular format to allow people who had never seen it before to have an opportunity to really experience it. And while it is certainly different than being able to witness this in a darkened theater and to be able to experience that kind of tension and I guess you might say a connection to the cast members. In the case of Rising Water, it's a two-hander, so just two people in that particular work. In Shotgun, we had, I believe, 5. And coming up on Monday, it'll be 4 people in Mold. And interesting works that John Bigonnet has done. They are kind of all connected. They all have a central couple that connect the works. And the couples usually, as he's noted, have a husband who's somewhat challenged in some way, and that the wife or the significant other generally has to take the lead. Also, in the case of both Rising Water and in the case of Shotgun, the couples have lost a child. And again, that's sort of playing into a part of the dynamic there that connects the two of them. In this last play, Mold, however, it's a young couple that are just coming back into New Orleans for the first time since Katrina hit a year previously. And they've had some significant loss there, although not a baby. And the other aspect of it is that the couple are finding out that they're about to have a baby. So instead of loss, we have rebirth. And again, perhaps an overriding theme is that we go from loss to rebirth in that cycle of plays. So again, I invite you all to use that link. Just type that in or copy that in. And if you want to, the link is also available on our NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group, as well as on my own Facebook page. I didn't really want to spread the link around too much because it can be a little bit disconcerting having people who are not necessarily known to me to be attempting to come on and utilize the service here. But I'm going to see who it is that wants to come in, and hopefully we'll have some participation. This is sort of like a talk show, very much like a talk show, except the difference is that unlike it being someone calling in on the phone, you're literally going to be calling in using your phone, desktop, laptop, or some other device like a tablet. So it's a little different, but welcome to welcome to the new century and to the new things that we have in store for you in 2020. So what can I say? Again, this is the weekend for remembering the loss that this community had, an unfathomable loss of approximately 1,800 souls, the largest evacuation of any city in the history of the United States, and I still believe the largest amount of losses registered, although if somebody knows that a more recent storm has cost more in terms of damages, I don't know if Sandy did, but it's possible that Sandy might have rivaled it. I would love to hear from you about anything and everything about that. And I'm going to bring up another piece of this, if you will, and that was a picture that I featured after we had Katrina's path last week. We talked about a photograph of my own house and how that particular photograph resonated so much for me. I hadn't seen it when it was taken. It was taken at the height of the storm, and it was taken by my cousin Sydney Smith, who was one of the featured performers in Katrina's path. And again, for those of you who are not familiar with the devastation that Katrina wrought, those of you who are new to New Orleans or are just joining in and watching the broadcast from afar, that is my second floor. So where the water level is up to about the 5-foot level. So you can imagine that there was an apartment down below that you can see the window in the front there. It essentially was flooded out. The occupant there went to shelter in place at the Superdome, my tenant, as it were. I was out of town at the time. Luckily, my car, which it would have been in the carport there, was at the airport. And luckily, I might say it suffered damage when the roof that it was situated under fell into it. And I had a couple of 3 weeks or so of rain that came into it that caused mildew inside the car. But of course, who knew that? Who knew when you go to park your car at the airport that the roof is going to be falling in on it? But other than that, not really a lot of damage. I lost a lot of possessions down below. My tenant, though, if you go around the side where the X was, the X code, it did have the date that the people arrived and, what team had come in there, et cetera. And then under the bottom there, it said one dog. And that was because his dog had been left behind with enough food and water for the weekend. He only figured he'd be gone about 3 days or so, maybe max. He'd be back on maybe Monday or Tuesday. And unfortunately, he could not return, and all of his possessions were lost. His dog was one of the casualties from Katrina. We lost a lot of animals, and so it's unfortunate. But again, that picture always resonated with me because obviously I never was the same again. And I don't think anybody who went through Katrina or experienced the loss from Katrina can ever say that they were ever truly the same again. So again, one of the things we ask that when you come into the room, by the way, if you elect to come in tonight, is to bring something to drink. We want to always share, and it's a good way to connect. You might notice that's a big square cube in there, and that happens to be 101 Wild Turkey bourbon that I have tonight. First time I've had that, and thought I'd have a little sample of that. Very smooth. So again, if you'd like to come in tonight to talk a little bit about your remembrances of Katrina, this is an open town hall for you. The idea being that we, have talked a lot about various topics. We've talked a lot about where theater has been, where theater is going. We've talked about some of the questions about systemic racism. These are parts of the talk that are open tonight to be addressed. We talked about inclusion of Latinx and other members of the community who might feel left out and not included in being part of the theater scene here. So all of these topics are absolutely on the table. The only proviso that, as I said, that we have is that we ask that you, just kind of be respectful of one another. And, although there may be some people who have some things to say about certain individuals, and I'm sure that I might have one or two things to say about individuals, my idea is that we want to make this a respectful talk tonight. And we're hoping to keep it going for an hour. Now, of course, there is the other point. Some people say they're here. So if you're here, you're welcome to come on in the room. Don't be shy. I know that this is Catherine Talbot. Catherine, you can come on in too. Feel free to make yourself at home. We would love to have the company. And yes, smooth, very smooth. So make sure if you're coming, Catherine, bring a drink so that we can share and have a good idea of how to pass the time, as they say down on the bayou. In any event, there's no phone to call tonight. Again, all you have to do is type this link into your browser, StreamYard.com/WR4JNS27D9. And once you do that, your browser will take you to the backstage area. You need to enable your microphone and your camera, and then enter the room. A lot of people enable their microphone and their camera. They sit there, and they don't come into the room, and I don't see them. Once you come into the room, once you enter the studio, I'll be able to see you are backstage, and I can immediately put you into the room. So we know we're broadcasting. We know the people out there are watching. And, again, if you've got a particular memory from Katrina, or if you've got a particular item that you wanted to discuss, I mean, there's a lot of things that have been going on that we have not discussed on NOLA Theater Talk these last several weeks, and some things that people are avoiding talking about. I'm willing to discuss anything tonight, anything that's within reason, and as I mentioned, within the proviso that it's a respectful conversation, that we're not trying to attack or ambush anybody who's not here to defend themselves, and that we stay away from any kind of hearsay that we might have heard that something had happened or whatever. What's true to you is true to you. What you've heard about somebody else may or may not be true, and we don't want to be carrying gossip. What we refer to in the aspects of Judaism as Loshen Hora, or the evil tongue, as it were. We talk about the good things, talking about getting things out in the open and letting things off of your chest, etc. But also, when it's done at the expense of somebody else, it's not a good thing necessarily. So we keep that in mind, that we want to be respectful and kind. As I like to say, whenever I'm trying to decide what to do in life, I try to use the Ten Commandments as my guideposts. And then when I start to fail along those lines, I use a backup of the 12 points of the Scout Law, which include being kind and courteous and friendly, among others. So one of the other things that they are is reverent, and I respect that everybody will talk about their own spirituality in their own way, but we're not looking for anybody to do any conversions tonight either. So proselytizing or whatever, but if you have something to discuss that happens to have a bit of aspects of religion, in terms of what perhaps your church group has done in theater, or what you're doing. I know, for instance, I talked earlier tonight to Anthony Bean, who I told him to make sure if he wanted to come on in, he's more than welcome to come in to talk about his new TV talk show for teens that he's got. And that's actually being filmed, as I understand it, now. And hopefully Anthony will be coming in to talk about that as well, and to talk about what he's found so far in doing this show. Now, I will tell you, I did have a guest who was in the room, but their devices were not enabled, so I couldn't see who it was. Anyway, if they're available, come on in. We've got a whole 40. I'm trying to see right now what we got. We got about 40 minutes or so left to the show. I've already talked about 19 minutes so far, and nobody to talk with. But we wanted to make this an opportunity for people who have not had a voice to have a voice. Come on in, talk. Let me know what you think. I mean, are we doing a good job? Are we not doing a good job? Are you enjoying the readings that we've had? Were there aspects of what we've done with Katrina's Path, Marilyn God, Cherry's Jubilee, Clark and Carol, any of the other plays that we've done, or just any of those things that you've got, we'd love to hear from you as to whether or not those aspects of those plays that we did were good. So, all right, I know Gail's trying to come in. You have to be able to connect your phone. I'm going to try to get you to come in, but as soon as you can get your device connected, you have to enable your phone or your desktop. If you can't get in, if for some reason, use Chrome. That works best. But if you can't use Chrome, I recommend you use Firefox. And then enable your microphone, enable your camera. And also, if you have the ability to go on your camera and your mic, you can also enable it for high definition. That is one of the options that you have. I just saw where Catherine wrote in and said, tell us a story. A story? You think I could talk? Maybe so. Well, I guess I can also mention the fact that I feel very blessed in many ways. I wasn't always steeped in the theater community here as much as I have been in recent years. When I grew up, I did not go to Nord like a lot of people did. I was not, one of those children like Peggy Scott Laborde and several others who went through Nord and were part of the groups of people like Brian Batt who came up through Ty Tracy and Robert Bruce and all the other people who used to work there. However, I did have a real in, if you will, because being the son of Annette and my uncle Irvin Smith, Annette Smason, we had Smith's Records. And Smith's Records was noted as a wonderful record store that had one of the best collections of Broadway show tunes that you could imagine. And of course, people like Sonny Bory, Tim Baker from Delgado. Sonny Bory was of course, Jesuit. And Stocker Fonalou from Le Petit. They would all come into the record shop. So I got to know all of them. When Amy Alvarez was first in New Orleans, she would come to Smith's Records because she was told, come to Smith's Records because they have the best collection that you can imagine. So as a result, I got to know all of the people who were involved with theater, who were doing musicals, staging different kinds of shows, and of course, not to necessarily brag about it, but we did have a connection to a lot of people nationally, including some very well-known Broadway composers who used to have their music sent from New Orleans to them in New York because we were so well noted as to knowing the music, knowing all about the shows, and that if they walked into a well-known chain like a Tower Records or locally here a Sound Warehouse, that type of a chain box store, that they knew they couldn't get the kind of service that they got from us. And so as a result, there were a number of people in Philadelphia, in California, in Wisconsin, in Florida, who would do mail orders with us. And, we would send them their copy of Merrily We Roll Along, or, any of the classical and opera things that we had as well, because we were really noted as a classical and opera store first, but the Broadway show tunes that we had were really next to no one. Now, did we have a lot of stock? We had a lot of titles. We might have one or two of a particular album, maybe one of it in cassette, maybe one of it in CD, if it came out on CD. So we didn't have a lot of depth. If we had a run on Merrily We Roll Along, it might be that we might have two copies of that in stock, and if somebody came in to buy it and somebody else knew it was being done somewhere locally, they might buy it and we'd be out of it for maybe a week or two. But we would get it back in. It was a regular stock item. And again, same thing with Subways Are for Sleeping. Anyone Can Whistle, the Sondheim shows that nobody had, that were considered flops by a lot of people. So, this was sort of how I got into theater. Also, of course, many people who were born into the theater, such as Cynthia Owen, they would come to get their music from us. And that's how I got to meet Cynthia, as the little girl who used to come in to the store and look for music. And so I got to meet Cynthia that way first, and we became good friends as a shop manager and as a customer first, before I really got to see her on stage and experience a lot of what she was doing. Although, anybody who knew her and knew what a wonderful talent she was, knew she would find her own way in life, and that she would become noted no matter what. But those are the ways I got to meet a lot of the people in the theater community first, was through my work as the shop manager at the record shop. It was always funny, even back in the days when I was in broadcasting, on radio at WYAT or WSMB. My mother would insist that you must come in. You got to come in and you got to sell records during Christmas time because we need you. So I would leave work sometimes to go sell records at the record shop, just because that's what I was told to do and I was expected to do. So whoever, I know, Gail, you're there. You're not connected. You need to be able to get your mic and or your camera enabled. Try a different method to come in. I'm going to go ahead and kick you out and ask you to come back again, because basically you're not making it the way it's coming in right now. You need to come in again. Let's see what we got now. What is that? Anyway, if you've got any comments, you can also go on StreamYard.com/Facebook and at least leave me a comment. Let me know what's going on, like Catherine's been doing all night long. Yes, Catherine, I'm glad to be the source of your humor tonight. I appreciate that. But if you've got something to say, I'd really love to hear from you. I mean, there's been a lot going on. We as a community have lost a lot of connectivity because of the fact that all of the theaters are shuttered. Only a few theaters are trying to right now reopen. There's only a couple in the United States that I know of that are actually doing that. And let's say they had a 500-seat performance hall. They're down like 160 plus seats, just because they can only have 25% of the audience socially distanced, and that's not a way to make money, for sure. It's not a way to bring people in. Obviously, it's the only way that you can, though, right now, is to observe those particular sanctions. And of course, a lot of this is also in conjunction with what's going on with the equity union. Actors Equity has essentially said we have a list of demands that theaters who want to open up need to follow for the safety of our equity members, and also for the safety of the people who are coming to the theater. Obviously, their first group that they serve are their members, but you don't want to be in a situation where people are coming into an unhealthy venue and creating a possibility of passing viruses, etc. So the thing is that we are in a pandemic. It is obviously going to be a challenge for some months to come. Our own questions about how we get out of this, whether or not it's going to be something that's going to go by degrees, which I'm suspecting is going to be the case, that we're going to have a little at a time loosening up, and then eventually we'll get into phase 2, phase 3, and then eventually phase 4. Phase 3 may not come quick enough, though, for a lot of people. And I suspect very strongly, and I've already been told by a number of people who are in the know, that there are a number of companies that are just not going to be able to come back from this. Not that they don't want to, it's just that there is a great deal of money that's been left out there. Nobody's making any money. Budgets that were based on revenue streams that do not exist right now are having to try to tighten their belt as best they can. And then eventually there comes a point in time where no money means no salaries, no pay. People have to work either for free or be let go or put on a furlough, which is essentially the same thing as being let go, except they keep tabs on you and say that you can actually come back at a later time. But furloughs become layoffs if we don't have a change in rapid enough succession. So again, those of you who are out there who'd like to comment tonight, we'd love to hear from you. Again, this is how you get into the room. StreamYard.com/WR4JNS27D9. Click in there in your browser, copy and paste it if you can, and we'll look forward to seeing you. We would love to have a discussion before the night ends. I've already used up half of my allotted space of time tonight to entreat some of you to come in. Again, I'm not going to leave early if I don't have to, but I would love to have you, come on in and talk a little bit about theater, because this is what this group is all about. This is why this platform was created. And I'd love to hear from you about your memories from Katrina. Did you happen to have a loss? Did you happen to, have to evacuate? And how was it when you were away from New Orleans? And what we saw in Katrina's path, did you have that need to come back? Or were you happy where you were in Houston or Atlanta or Fort Smith, Arkansas? What was that such a change of pace for you that you were glad to be out of New Orleans? Most of the people I know were not happy. I was in Cleveland, and I certainly wasn't a happy person. And of course, one of the things that goes hand in hand with Cleveland that a lot of people don't realize that we enjoy so much sunshine in New Orleans, but up in Cleveland and in parts of the Northeast, Boston, and in places like in the Northwest, like in Seattle, there's a lot of overcast skies that happen on a regular basis, and people don't get to see the sun, and deprivation of whatever you want to say, vitamin D, or just not seeing the sun on a regular basis, can bring about a lot of depression, and make you feel a lot worse than maybe you should be. So being up in Cleveland, I was experiencing that loss as well, that kind of depression from not being out in the outdoors and seeing the sun a lot. So those are things that affect people. Let's see. If I do a watch, yes, I can see the comments. I think I definitely can see the comments. On the NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group. I'm not sure, so I'm not sure about the watchers. I don't know. I don't know if that's the case. But if they go to StreamYard.com/Facebook, though, I believe that will give them an opportunity to get permission to do that. I think that. If you type in StreamYard.com/Facebook, that gives permission to StreamYard to post your name. And once you're able to post your name, obviously I can see that. So hopefully that'll work as well. Again, you're witnessing a town hall, part of the NOLA Theater Talk that we have on Mondays and Fridays. This is part of the NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group. We also broadcast to the theatercriticism.com Facebook page and to my own YouTube channel. Those of you who have not had an opportunity to go to YouTube, I wanted to make sure that the YouTube channel was open to everybody. So the theatercriticism.com Facebook page is open to anybody who has a Facebook account. But if you don't have Facebook, then YouTube is the way to go. If a lot of people swear off Facebook, they're not happy to be on Facebook. They don't want to be a part of that part of the social networking that goes on with it. And so I understand that and I appreciate that. So hopefully those of you who are out and about will check out the YouTube channel. And again, that's this one right here, the YouTube channel, Music Lovers 169. That will allow you to see our live streams that we're having like tonight, as well as the archived recordings that we have that are going to be archived on YouTube that are streamed on Mondays and Fridays. Again, I want to remind everybody that coming up on this Monday, John Bigonet's Mold. And we talked a little bit about it earlier, but I did want you to know that we have a tremendous cast that's lined up. First off, the young couple that are playing the roles of Trey and Marie Guidry are being played by none other than our own Nick Thompson and Jesse Terrebonne Thompson, an actual married couple, which I think is just a wonderful opportunity there for them to be involved and to do their great acting between the two of them. And then, of course, the roles were originally done by Trey Burvant and by Kerry Cahill. Well, of course, Kerry is involved in a shoot right now, and I'm not quite sure why Terry was unavailable, but he couldn't make the schedule that we had. And again, the guy who played Edgar, the insurance adjuster, was Randy Maggiore. He is actually going to be back on in the role that he originated on Monday night, so we're welcoming him. And the role that was originally done by Carol Sutton of Amelia Delachaise, that she did to such perfection, especially playing opposite Kerry Cahill. That was Carol Sutton's wonderful role that she did back in, I'm trying to think it was 2011 or so, but in any event, Carol has been a little bit under the weather, and we want to wish her, a speedy recovery. But she just was unable to do it. She was counting on it and trying her best to do it, bless her heart, but unfortunately just didn't have the stamina and the strength right now. Maybe in another few weeks she'll be able to tackle some roles. But in the meantime, I have to say that Troy Bechet, who's the Big Easy nominee for Best Actress this year, Troy Bechet actually volunteered to take over that role, and she is going to be stepping up to do a fantastic job. And those of you who saw her portray Antoinette Cato in Katrina's Path know what a wonderful, outstanding actress she is, and what great strength of character she's going to bring to that role. So again, we have 4 people going to be Monday night at 8 o'clock, one night only, that you'll be able to see that, and then it'll be gone. And one of the other things that we did this past week that I really wanted to kind of talk a little bit about too, and nobody has come into the room, so I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to cavell, as they say. I'm going to start to talk a little bit about Nita and Zeta. So when I first started to get this platform, and StreamYard, I knew about from having investigated. It was a great opportunity, but I kept thinking, what shows have I seen in the last 20 or so years that really struck me as something that was worthy of being shown again, something that really caught my interest, something that made me say, wow, this is something that really needs to be seen once again. And Nita and Zeta came right to my mind because it was such a quirky show. It is an unusual show. It's not something that most people would say was a great piece of theater from the standpoint of something that's going to last through the centuries. But it resonated so well with me because the acting was so superb. And I saw it early on when Annalisa Juge had started it with Kathy Randalls. And of course, Lisa D'Amour had helped write this, put it all down. But it was sort of a combination of those 3, plus later on when Katie Pearl became part of the creative team, that she also had contributed to the growth of those characters. And so essentially what you had was they had learned about these 2 Hungarian sisters who were in vaudeville, who had done this very strange acrobatic contortionist act in vaudeville, and they retired in New Orleans sometime in the late 40s. They lived as spinsters, reclusive, in a Faubourg Creole cottage. They were seen around the neighborhood by a lot of people. Supposedly, people learned that they were doing sunbathing in their backyards, etc. And they were performing for a time in the French Quarter, so people got to know who they were there. Anyway, they were named Flora and Piroshka Geller. They were, as I said, Hungarian immigrants to the United States. They came to live in New Orleans later on. They went by the stage names of Nita and Zeta. And the story about Nita and Zeta was just so intriguing to me that I just wanted to go ahead and put that show on with the permission, of course, of Lisa D'Amour, the Obie Award-winning playwright for that, as well as for Detroit. And Lisa, wasn't sure that it would take off. Wasn't sure that Katie Pearl and Kathy Randalls would be up for the challenge. And Kathy Randalls' husband, by the way, Sean LaRocca, did the most amazing tech work that I had never believed could be done. So wonderful. And he was able to actually get music into the room that Tom McDermott had recorded. And so we just had a great romp on Monday doing this show that had never been seen in 15 years. And we incorporated the acrobatic and contortionist part of that production from 2005 as part of the live stream, so that we were able to do the two actors in two different cities, plus Lisa D'Amour, who was also in New Orleans, myself. So there was essentially 3 feeds from New Orleans, one from Connecticut where Katie Pearl was, all connected, plus a feed of music coming in through Sean's feed of Tom McDermott, who wasn't in the room, but his music was. And so we had all of this going on, and we were able to bring back Nita and Zeta. And I had people in New York, I had people in Wisconsin who had never seen this before, and they were enraptured. They just loved it. And so I was so proud to actually, have done this. And I've had several of my friends confide in me how perfectly charming it was. If you haven't seen it yet, by all means, go on the YouTube channel and go check it out. Again, if you haven't seen it, Nita and Zeta. I don't know how long it's going to stay up, but we know it's going to stay up for another few weeks. But please, by all means, go check that out. It is just superb. I'm going to take a little swig. The other show that I want to mention that is also available right now is Katrina's Path by Rob Florence, based on interviews that he conducted with 6 different, shall we say, characters from New Orleans. We had all 6 represented, 2 of whom played themselves. They didn't play themselves in the original iterations of the work, but they became so connected with it. And of course, were not professional actors or even amateur actors, but they came to learn the parts that were themselves, essentially, their own lives, that they actually took on the challenge of doing it a few years ago as a favor and as a challenge, I guess. And now they're doing it on their own. They did it a few weeks back, and I'm so pleased to say that came off very well as well. We were just so happy to have seen 2 of the people, as I mentioned, Randy Rasmussen and Sidney Smith, who is my cousin, the one that took that picture. He played himself. And, of course, Troy Bichet, as I mentioned earlier, had done Antoinette Cato. She led things off. Wilbert Williams Jr. Portrayed Sylvester Francis, who was involved with the Mardi Gras Indians. And we had another character who was portrayed by Troy Poplis, and I'm trying to remember his last name, but he's very good too. I think it was Arthur something or other. But Troy did an outstanding job as well. Troy Poplis, as opposed to Troy Bichet. We had 2 Troys, spelled differently now. Troy for Troy Poplis. But Troy, I think, was one of those wonderful characterizations that he did, where the guy was quintessentially New Orleans, stuck in San Jose, and just wanted to come back. Just couldn't wait to get off that bus and come back to New Orleans. And he embodied so many people who just knew they had to come back. So that play, that reading, is also available online right now. So you can see that as well. Again, if you'd like to take part in our show tonight, haven't seen anybody come in, but it goes to show you, I will talk until it's over with. I've got another 16 minutes, and it looks like I'm going to be the only person talking to myself tonight. That's okay. I don't care. I'd love to have some other people talk. The idea being that I thought that maybe we'd have some more meeting discussions, because there have been some things that have been going on in the theater community that not a lot of people want to discuss. And with only about 15 minutes left to discuss them now, it probably would be giving them short shrift. But I thought that somebody would take me up on that challenge of talking about some of the things affecting the New Orleans theater community, and whether or not we're going to be able to come back from this. I have not heard back from a lot of people tonight, obviously, but talking in private to people, uh, they are experiencing very, very difficult times, and I'm trying to make myself available, trying to make myself. I guess I might say, as a resource for them, and whether or not they're going to be able to come in and take care of talking about some of these items. That's up to them. But I wanted to make sure that you all didn't think that I was sitting up here in my little world, completely oblivious to what's going on. I do know what's going on, and I do know that there are some items that need to be addressed. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I don't want to have anybody feel like, hey, you shouldn't talk about that stuff because people are gonna take exception to it. If it's affecting the theater community, we should talk about it. Nothing can ever be realized without talking about it first. You're never going to be able to make any movement anywhere. And by the way, being either on one side of the equation, either as a radical on the left or the right of the equation, usually nothing gets accomplished. People vent and they spew forth whatever they want, and that's it. They make themselves feel happy. But the only real traction that's really made in any political or social kind of discussion is the ones in the middle, the ones who are able to sort of see the other person's way and perhaps compromise a bit to meet halfway. Meeting halfway is not a bad thing. Sometimes being able to compromise can make all the difference in the world, and get movement going. It is a fact that I have many leanings that may be seen as conservative, and I have many leanings that may be seen as liberal. I like to consider myself more of a moderate, more of a person in the middle, because I like to be able to see both things. And of course, being a journalist, I'm really not permitted to espouse political beliefs publicly. I can hold my own political beliefs. I can vote the way I choose, but I'm not allowed ethically to put a button on, to put a sign in my front yard, to espouse one particular political party over another. And so a lot of times if people say, well, why didn't you like my Facebook post, or why didn't you agree with me on this? It's because of those very reasons. Ethically, I would be challenged to like a piece that may essentially be at the cost of a political candidate, because even though I might find it humorous, I might find it funny, I'm not really publicly able to do that. And again, that is a set of criteria of ethics that I've set for myself. I don't expect everybody else would be able to adhere to them as well, but as a journalist, as somebody who is an editor of online and previously a publisher of magazines, that my purpose is not to necessarily put my own opinions down, but to be able to give an opportunity to other people to express their own. And so hopefully that's what happens. And that's hopefully what happens tonight. Love to hear from any of you out there. Again, we're broadcasting live right now to our YouTube channel, to our theatercriticism.com Facebook page, as I mentioned, the YouTube channel, and also to our NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group. Again, we've had a number of different theater pieces that we've done. We hope that those of you out there who got to see Rosalie O'Neill's two plays, Marilyn God and also Clark and Carol, might have experienced some joy with those as well. We had a lot of fun presenting them to you. And again, hats off to Alice and Logan and to Robert Pavlovich. Bob was absolutely fantastic, doing all the voices for Marilyn God that were not Marilyn Monroe, that Alice and Logan did. Of course, We just found out that that particular show is up for a national reading, and we're going to see whether or not Allison wants to reprise, her role. I have yet to talk to Robert because he's back in classes, etc., at Cincinnati, and I don't know whether or not he has the time to do it, but we will mention it. But they did a fantastic job in that, and of course, Bob came back to play against Kelly Lind, who took on the role of Carol Lombard, and he took on the role of Clark Gable in Clark and Carol. And again, Rosary got a write-up in an online magazine story, if you will, called, I think it's Breaking Up. Is that what it is? Sort of a commentary. And essentially, it was revealed just yesterday that apparently that particular piece is going to be considered for a national reading. So a Maryland God, that is, not Clark and Carol, but still, it's a great opportunity for a New Orleans-based writer, playwright, to have her works, see the light of day at a time when theaters are shuttered. So again, I thank her for all of what she's done. And of course, if you were able to see the very first piece that we presented, which was one of the great works that back around 2000 or so was The Rage, as it were, and that was the piece that was done by Joyce Pulitzer, Marcy Nathan, Harriet Nelson, and the late Lynn Goldman. We had a piece called Cherry's Jubilee, and essentially took 5 Newcomb alumni who came back at various times for their reunions after their graduation to revisit one another. And as we saw them grow through the years over, I think, something like a 45-year period or 40-year period, we got a chance to see the way that they changed over the course of those decades, and just smartly written, very funny. We got a chance to see that produced, and that stayed up for a little bit of time, not very long, about a week or so afterwards. We also got to see John Broder's work, Brick, which was an imagining of the Tennessee Williams character from Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. Brick, the husband who is essentially a closeted man who has feelings for other men, and the question, of course, is what would have happened were Brick to have been living in perhaps in the 80s or 90s, and if he were not necessarily living the exact parts of the play out again, but if that character, had been able to lead his closeted life and be married, which many people, of course, were married, and what would happen to his character when he'd meet his old love. And so John, had a fabulous cast, including Bob Eads Jr. and just Harold Gervais, that tackled the roles in that particular play. And we also had, of course, John Broder himself, the playwright, and the former Big Easy Awards executive director, because he stepped down from that particular post now. But he is now the head of the Infringe Fest, so he's not looking for work, so to speak. But John actually did the stage directions, and that particular piece was also up for a while. It's down now, but you never know when John may want to bring it back out again. It was supposed to actually be presented at the Tennessee Williams New Orleans Literary Festival, but unfortunately, because due to the situation with the cancellation of the shows that we had, the theater festival was canceled, etc. We were unable to show it, so we got to bring it back, and how wonderful that was. Now, I saw a few comments. I guess I'm not seeing them now. Let me see. Let's see what we got. Well, I hope it was fun for everybody. I appreciate that. Now, what did you say about Manuel Ponce? Was the original Brick? You are correct. Manuel played opposite Bob Eads Jr., who reprised his role, and again, Manuel did it, I think, back in like 2015. But Harold Gervais, who's actually the director of the piece, he's portrayed that brick piece in more recent times. So we got to see him do it, and how wonderful that was as well. And again, I know that we're getting towards the end of the night. And I guess what I'll do is I'll just tell everybody, don't worry about coming in now because it's too late. You work all day to get something happening on the stove. You put your ingredients in the pot, you cook it up, and then guess what? Nobody eats it. So that's okay. That's all right. I'm not really that upset. I really didn't want to schedule too much on the anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. There's a lot of raw feelings even after 15 years. And I think that there would have been an undercurrent for anybody to come on to talk about it. But again, my hope is that those of you who are members of the NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group will continue to be there, continue to watch the things that we're doing, continue to contribute. Anthony did not come on to talk about his show tonight, obviously, but if perhaps you have something that you want to talk about and you want to get it promoted, please use the posts that are available to you as a member of NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group to go ahead and post to your heart's content. Use that particular group to let other people know what you're doing. I'm very pleased to note that Anthony Bean's Facebook page and review, and also several other JPAS production companies here in New Orleans are actually listening in. They're actually part of the members who are on that. And of course, once we broadcast something to our group, they're able to broadcast to their people. So the 3,000 people or so that are on the JPAS pages are able to see once JPAS shares anything on our Facebook group to their people. So we're able to use that. Let's see who else we got in here. I think we got a couple more people. Well, Catherine, it looks like it's just you and me. So you didn't want to talk about what? What did you want to talk? Whatever it was, it's too late. Anyway, I appreciate that. We had so many things to do, and in just a short period of time. I think I started it up around April Fool's Day. So we had April, May, June, July. We've gone through August. We're starting essentially the 6th month now. And who would have thought that in April or March that we would still be looking at being in phase 1? And I'm naturally a bit disappointed that we have not made better progress. Other countries seem to be able to do it better than we have. So I guess that's something to say for our track record is not so good right now in this country. But maybe we get our acts together, we can do this, because we have a lot of challenges coming up. The political climate being what it is, it will become more charged as we move towards that November election. And of course, I know that as we move away from phase 1 and phase 2 and move towards hopefully phase 3 and 4, that we get back to the old normal rather than the new normal. The new normal has been, let's deal with what we got. Wash our hands, wear a mask, and do all the things that we can to stop the spread and flatten that curve. So again, I want to thank you all for being with me tonight. Once again, my name is Alan Smason, and this is NOLA Theater Talk. You've been not taking part in the town hall that we had tonight, but again, I appreciate those of you who are listening. A few of you out there are obviously enjoying. And again, if there's anything I can do in my capacity, as a member of the panel on stepping out, understand that I'm going to try to promote it for you as best I can. If I can promote it for you in any other way here on theatercriticism.com or with the Theater Folk Facebook group, I am very happy to do so. So for now, it's 9 o'clock. That means the town hall, has essentially ended, and I want to thank you again. Have a wonderful night. I will see you at the theater.